Hello, and welcome to episode 7 of this YouTube series about UpNote, being effective with UpNote. It's brought to you by Effective Faith, and my name is Chris Wood. This week, in episode 7, we're thinking all about the settings menu within UpNote and the different things that you can do within it. So let's dive in. Firstly, accessing the settings menu, you can do it in 3 ways. Let's just go full screen to make this a little bit easier. You can do it in 3 ways. You can go to the menu up here and then you've got preferences. There's a keyboard shortcut that you can see, which at least on a Mac is Command, comma. And then the most common way, you've got this little button over here on the right hand side. I always get my left and right confused. When you open it up, you're greeted first of all, the top menu option with this My Account. This just shows you which account you're signed in with. That's my Effective Faith email address there. I'm on my demo account at the moment, so one of the reasons why I'm on my demo account is so you can see what options are and aren't available if you're on a free account. My demo account I've not paid a subscription for. So here you can sign out, you can delete your account if you want to, and you can also manage your sign-in methods. The 3 currently available are email and password, signing in with your Google account, or signing in with your Apple ID. So that's the account options. Premium is the next option in the list. This is where you can upgrade if you want to. Just to say, the free plan which this demo account is on, limits you to 50 notes. But if you pay for the premium, you can do unlimited notes. You can actually access on iOS, Mac, Android, Windows, and Linux on the free plan, but obviously you're limited to 50 notes on that. Adding attachments, tables, and code blocks, and some of the other options within the editor are also limited to the premium plan. Protecting your notes and notebooks with a lock. What that basically means is that there's an option which I'll show you in a minute where you can't edit your notes by accident. And then some of the themes and the covers for notebooks for customization are only available in the premium plan. And some of the export options are only available in the premium plan. You'll see that in a moment. The premium plan it's 99 pence a month if you want to do a monthly option, which works out at £11.88 per year. I'm not sure what it is if you're in a country that uses a different currency. You'll have to look that up yourself. And then there's the lifetime option here, which is one payment, premium forever, which currently in England, in the UK, is £24.99. It says it's a time-limited offer. I don't know how long the lifetime offer is going to be available for. They'll probably remove it at some stage down the line as UpNote grows and becomes more and more popular. I want to say, compared to other apps similar to this, like Evernote or Nimbus Notes that I've used, this is an absolute deal. This is really good value. Evernote, the last time I paid a subscription for Evernote, it was £45 for a year. So UpNote's lifetime subscription is just over half of that. And then Nimbus Notes, if I were to renew my subscription there, which I haven't, would be £60 for 1 year. And obviously there's the rumours that Evernote's prices are going up and it might be closer to £120 a year based on what I've heard for just 1 year. So UpNote here is really, really, really good value for money. While the lifetime offer is still available. Next option in the list, you've got your themes. Light, dark, and system. System obviously means that UpNote follows whatever theme, light or dark, your system is set to. I'm just going to show you the difference between light and dark mode for some of the colours. So in this note here, I've got obviously coloured highlights. I made that text, it's supposed to be red, and I made it orange. There you go. Coloured highlights, coloured text, and then you've got background colors in a table there as well. If I switch to dark mode, you'll just see what they look like in dark mode, red, where you can see the colors. I don't need to list them all. And then for the text and the highlights there as well. Next up, you've got these theme colors here. Now, obviously, it's going to be a bit hard to see because some of these are only available with a premium subscription. But these theme colors, they impact the color of things like this note being highlighted, the color of the pins, the color of the menu titles up here, and also the colors used for bullet points, numbered points, and links and tags. So if I change that to this color, you'll see that they all change color to match the color of the theme. Next up in the settings menu, you've got your general. There's obviously a lot more options in here. So display the number of notes in each notebook. Down on the sidebar over here, if I turn that off, you'll see that the numbers there disappear. Create a new note in focus mode. This might be one that's helpful for you. So ordinarily when you create a new note, it just sort of creates it as is. But if you tick that box, when you click new note, it automatically brings it up in this full screen focus mode, which may well be something that you want to do to minimize distraction. The compact notes list, if you look at the notes list here, if I untick that, it just expands the note list and gives a bit more information. Similar to what we've seen in a previous episode, you've got all your different options here for how you sort notes in the note list. You can also change how you sort things in the sidebar. So at the moment I've got them sorted in a custom way. If you select A to Z, obviously you'll see everything is there now alphabetical. I kind of like this because when I was using Evernote, for example, the notebooks in the sidebar are always sorted alphabetically, which means you have to come up with some. If you're using a system like Para from Tiago Forte's Building a Second Brain, you have to come up with some complicated numbering system to make sure that the notebooks are in the right order, whereas with a custom sort you can just move them to whatever order you want. Display notes with a timestamp is next. If you've got the compact notes list turned off, you'll see here these little timestamps. That can be selected to none, or the updated time when the note was last updated, or when it was created. You'll see they change based on what you select. I kind of like this one, show nested notebooks in the notes list. So I'll turn that off for the minute and I'll come here. And at the moment in my projects notebook, all that is being shown is notes that are in this specific project's notebook. If I turn on show nested notebooks, then the two notebooks that are nested underneath that will show up in this list as well. And then if I click that, all of the notebooks that are nested underneath that will show up also. And I like having that turned on so I can see the notebooks that are within the notebook that I'm in. I also quite like this one, show notes from nested notebooks in parent notebook. I don't have this on all the time, but it is useful, and I'll show you how. So if I click this, then any note that is in any notebook nested underneath the parent notebook is going to show up in the notes list here. So if I turn that on, you'll see all of these notes appear, and these are all in different notebooks. As you can see down here, they're all in different notebooks that are nested underneath this parent project notebook. The reason why I find this useful is if, for example, as is the case here, this is my projects, and I go into my active projects notebook, then if each of these notebooks has like a list, one note with a list of all of the relevant actions for that project, then all of these action lists will show up in this one list, and I can quickly cycle through them to see all of the outstanding completed actions in my current active projects, which is really helpful if I'm doing planning to work out what I need to do in the upcoming day or in the upcoming week. So I don't have that one on all the time. You can also get rid of that up here as well, and then they disappear. Let's go back into the settings menu. Underneath that, you've just got your list of global shortcuts. Now, I've mentioned some of these in previous episodes. These are shortcuts that work whatever you're doing on your computer. If UpNote is open and you're browsing the web or working on a Google Doc, these global shortcuts will work, and you can turn them on or off here. This one you can change if you want to, if there's something else that's already using that shortcut. Next up are the options for the editor. You can choose the font that you want. You've got a whole series of preloaded fonts, but they've also recently released a feature where you can select any font that's currently installed on your system, if that's something that you want to do, and you can change the font size for the text within your notes. When you do that, the headings will update automatically to reflect the normal font size. Protecting notes from unwanted edits. This is something that I mentioned earlier. If you click that, then you can't edit this note without clicking this little edit button or using that keyboard shortcut, Command-Shift-W. That just means that you're not going to inadvertently break your note. I tend to have that switched off. Spell check, I always have that switched on. Typewriter mode is useful if you're writing longer form content. Basically, that means that your cursor is always going to be in the middle of the screen. If I turn that on and you go to, this is a longer note, wherever the cursor is the middle of the screen, which is just really helpful if you're writing. You don't have to keep looking up and down. It's helpful for focus. Wrap code. I confess I'm learning to code, but I'm not really sure what that means at the moment. Anyone who is a coder can drop it into the comments below, and that would be really helpful. Default image size. When you insert an image, embed an image into your note, you can have it to start off as being large, medium, or small. I tend to go for medium, and then you can resize it after that. You can change the appearance of a completed to-do item. You can have it just to stay as is, so the box is ticked but nothing else happens. You can have it to strike through the text, grey out the text, or my personal favourite, greyed out and strike through. So that just means that if I go here, they're greyed out and struck through. New notes start with what type of heading do you want your new note to start with. I always start it with heading 1 because that's the biggest. These are, line width here is also something that is relevant for a new note. I'll show you what that does if I maximize this and go to line width. You can change the amount of screen that your note displays. Now, obviously, my screen is, I'm on a 13-inch MacBook Air, so once I get to this point, it doesn't change. But if you're on a bigger screen, doing that will make it fill more and more of the screen. One of the things that I'm hoping they change, at the moment you can't do that on my Android tablet. So when I'm in landscape mode on my Android tablet, the notes don't fill the whole screen, but I'm hoping that they change that in the future so that they do. Line spacing, let's go to this note because it'll be easier to see on there. If I change that, you'll see that the spacing between the lines gets bigger, and then paragraph spacing, the spaces between new paragraphs or bullet points or numbered lists gets bigger. You can change those to whatever suits you the best. I'll mention feedback down at the bottom briefly. This is just a series of links that you can leave a review. This is a great email address if you've got any bugs or faults or suggestions as to how to improve UpNote. You can email support@getupnote.com. Lastly, I want to talk about backup, and then I'll throw in a bit about export at the very end. UpNote has an automatic backup process for every device that you use. You can change the frequency every hour, every 6 hours, 12 hours. I have it back up daily. This option changes the number of backups that are actually kept. So I've got it set at 50, which is the minimum. And if it's daily, that's 50 days worth of backups. And that just means that once it's backed itself up 50 times, every time it backs up again, it will delete the oldest backup. And then version history, that's within the backup. Every note has a version history saved for all of the different edits and changes, because you can roll notes back to previous versions if you make a mistake or delete something by accident. You can change that. Again, I've got it set up as 50. Backup attachments. If you've got files, PDFs, whatever, attached to your notes, they won't be backed up automatically, but if you click this box, then they will. And what that'll do is it'll create a separate folder within the backup folder called Files, and that's where it will store all of the attachments. And then any links to files within the backup, within the note, will be links to that backup folder of files. Additionally, you can export your backup file to Markdown. So the basic backup is it's a UPNX file format. So it's basically UpNote's version of Evernote's Enex file, I think. But you can also tick this box and it will create two backups, one in UPNX, which can only be read by UpNote, and one in Markdown format, which can be read by other apps such as Obsidian or whatever. Clicking this will take you to the folder that is currently set as your backup folder. But one of the things I really like is you can actually choose where the backups go by selecting backup folder, and it just brings up a standard file management box on your computer, and you can select that to be wherever you want. I currently have it backed up into my Google Drive folder because I've got the Google Drive app installed on this computer, so everything is backed up to Google Drive and then obviously synced in the cloud. And then if you want to, you can just click backup now. I'm going to do that because this is my demo account. It's only actually been used not very often, and the last time it was backed up was the 19th of March. But if I click backup now, it'll back everything up in the background, and you can see now the last backup has changed. So if you want to restore a backup, you can see that the times it's been backed up are the options that you've got to restore. And then you can choose to overwrite all of the data that's in UpNote at the moment with the backup data, or only restore the information that's been deleted since you backed it up. So there's a few options for you there. Right, I'm going to get rid of the settings menu now because a few people have been asking me about exporting, and because I've been talking about backups, I think now is the time to talk about exporting. As I said, some of the export options are only available if you've got a premium subscription, which this demo account doesn't, but I will show you what is available for free. You can do this in two ways. So you can either go to the File menu, here's where you can click Export All Notes, or Export Notes. That just exports the notes that are currently selected. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to select these notes, 8 notes selected, just as a sample, and I'm going to click Export. You can export them as separate documents, so one file per note, or you can merge them all into one document, so that's one file that will contain all of your notes. For this, I'm going to go for separate documents. Now, the free version has export to text, which is a .txt file, or export to HTML, available for a selection of notes. But if you're exporting all of your notes, Oh, you can do it in HTML as well. So text and HTML are the options available for free. Exporting each to a PDF and exporting to Markdown are part of the premium subscription. I'm going to do it to HTML for these 8 notes. I've created this folder ahead of time, but you can store it wherever you want. And I'm just going to export them into there. And then it gives you this folder with all of these different HTML files. If I open one up, it'll just open it up in my browser, and you can see there the HTML. It looks pretty good, and all of these links are clickable. So if I click this tag, it tells me it wants to open UpNote. If I open UpNote, it'll bring me to that tag within UpNote. And it does work really, really well. Obviously, if you export to a text file, the colours, the links, all of that kind of stuff aren't going to be there. But you can preserve that's a bad example. You can preserve the text, at least, of your notes, if that's what you want to do. But those are the different export options that are available within UpNote. So there you have it. That's the settings menu within UpNote. If you've liked this video, then please do click that like button down at the bottom. That's really helpful and really valuable for me. There should be a subscribe button appearing now. Got a few more episodes to come in this Being Effective with UpNote sort of tutorial series. And then after that, the series is going to expand into sort of how to use UpNote as a note-taking app, as a hub for your productivity system or second brain or whatever you want to call it. I've got lots of ideas for videos to make after this series. So please do subscribe, and then you'll find out about all of those videos as they're released. And then there's a couple of other videos that are showing up on the right-hand side of your screen now. Please do check those out, and I will see you on the next video.